What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of The Block is Hot. In this episode, I'm going to be doing a complete breakdown of the new Clay token from Clay Nation and explain to you guys where exactly to buy this, how they distributed it, the tokenomics, my thoughts and opinions on it, some of the utilities, and much more. But without further ado, let's get into it. Now, I kind of want to do a one take here because it's been a while since I've done a one take, and there's honestly a lot of information to really decipher with this token. And one thing that I want to say in the beginning of this video is that I am a big believer in Clay Nation, and I'm actually a big believer in this token, and I have bought a decent amount myself, and hopefully by the end of this video you'll at least know why I'm personally paying attention to this token. But regardless, what is the Clay token? Well, guys, Clay Nation, probably the biggest project in my opinion on Cardano, probably the most talented team as far as really executing and delivering on stuff, has launched their own token. And most of the time when these different projects launch tokens, I'm not that interested because I either A, don't believe in that project, or B, I don't really see how they could provide enough utility where their token is not just going to die over time from inflation. But Clay's a little bit different. As far as the tokenomics go, there are 2.5 billion of these Clay tokens, and they split up their allocation as follows. 32% is going to go towards development, which, might be towards paying people, all the different expenses when it comes to the metaverse, et cetera, et cetera. 18% is going to go to the team that's actually vested over a 4-year period, with their first claim being 1 year from now. So they don't actually have access to those tokens. 10% is going to be for land sales. They actually already did a 6.5% airdrop to pitches holders a couple days ago. 20% is going to go to different holders as well as community contribution rewards. 5% is going to staking, and then the last 15% is actually going for liquidity in decentralized exchanges as well as the farming. And it kind of breaks this down here, guys, but with their staking, you can actually delegate your ADA to their Clay pool. And depending on how much ADA you have and how much Clay tokens you have, you're actually going to be able to get additional Clay tokens. And they just describe a little bit more down here. Now, what's interesting is they're actually splitting up this holder allocation, which is roughly 15% of the total supply, over the course of the next 3 years. And depending on what Clay Nation products you own, you're going to be able to get a different amount of Clay tokens. So right now, if you have one of the OG Clays, you're going to get a roughly 7,717 Clay over a 1-year basis. If you have one of the green ones or the blue ones, it's obviously going to be more. They also have 28% of this total supply going to Clay Nation X Good Charlotte holders. And this is actually a better bang for your buck right now as far as the amount of Clay you're getting compared to the amount of price. And then the remaining 10% is actually going to be in biannual airdrops over the course of 3 years. And if you hold one of their previous projects, you are going to get 1,250 Clay tokens over the course of the year. So what, like 625 Clay tokens twice a year. And then when it comes to their actual pitches, they actually just did an airdrop of 6.5% of that supply, which ended up being 5,000 Clay tokens to everyone that had a pitch, regardless of, what size your pitch is. Now, what's interesting right now is in order to get the tokens as a holder, it's not actually an airdrop. You actually have to bake your Clay Nations. And they have their whole site called claybaking.io, but essentially you're going to be able to connect your wallet. Once you connect your wallet, you're going to be able to see your different Clays. You're going to be able to click on them, and you're actually going to be able to start baking. The baking process, guys, takes 14 days. And as you're baking your Clay, you get additional Clay tokens throughout that 14-day period. So for example, I selected my 3 Clays, I'm baking my 3 Clays, and at the end of 14 days, I'm going to get the total amount of Clay tokens that they've been accumulating, which is 8,008 tokens. But I have the option, guys, to unbake early, and if I unbake early, I would simply get a lower percentage. So for example, I'm on day 13 right now. If I decided to click unbake and unbake, instead of getting these 8,000 tokens, I would simply get 89% of that. And then obviously, guys, the lower amount of time, the less amount. What's really interesting about this is anytime someone unbakes, they are taking those Clay tokens that they just lost. So for example, if I unbaked on day 9 and I only got 53%, they're taking that 47% remainder and they're actually giving that to people that are currently not baking right now. So it's going into a whole pool. So the longer you're not baking, pretty much the more of these tokens you're going to accumulate and the more tokens you're going to get when you eventually do bake. Now, to kind of go through this is what's really interesting as far as the utility goes. Right now, we're getting all these tokens, but they haven't really announced, at least recently, how exactly these tokens are going to be used. But they did have this little FAQ AMA where we're able to get a little bit more information about what this clay token is actually going to be used for. So the first question was, what will this clay token be used for? Can I use my clay token to buy merch? They said at the beginning, it's mainly going to be a governance for Clay Nation, which, to be honest with you guys, does not matter to me. It really doesn't matter to a lot of people out there, but it's saying depending on how many Clay tokens you have, you are going to have a bigger vote in this governance. But they are saying there will be an ability to buy different limited edition merch using this Clay token. What I want to see when I'm looking at this utility, guys, is I want to see ways that they can basically take Clay tokens out of their supply. And the better that they can get rid of the Clay tokens that are constantly coming in, where there's constantly new tokens and constantly selling pressure, now all of a sudden they can take Clay tokens out of circulation. So having something like limited edition merch where you need your Clay token could be a way where they basically can take in these Clay tokens and either destroy those Clay tokens or maybe sell a percentage and then destroy the rest. They're also saying that there are going to be pants that come out. You are most likely going to need to buy these pants in order to add that to your current Clay Nations. And when you get those pants, they'll actually be more metaverse compatible because right now there's no pants or no lower half of the body for Clay Nations. And it's actually kind of cool. They made a tweet of concept to creation, and you can actually see some of the pants that they've been creating, kind of the original right here of just the sketches, and now these are potentially some of your pants. So now all of a sudden, sometime in the future, when you need pants for your clays, now you'll be able to buy these pants with your Clay token. Once again, this is a way for them to take Clay token out of supply, and then there's gonna be this whole mint most likely, or where people wanna buy multiple pants for their clays, they wanna match certain pants for certain clays. So I really like to see that. That's an innovative idea that doesn't cost them a lot of money, but is another way that they can kind of curb the inflation of their actual Clay token. They were also saying that they're solidifying partnerships in the near future to bring additional utility, and they have not yet announced these different utilities, but depending on what this is, this could be a pretty big deal. They were also saying that they're going to be able to use these Clay tokens potentially for future mint drops. They said strong consideration, which most likely means yes. There's also going to be a future store that's going to be necessary for their whole entire Clayverse. And they're saying in that store, they are going to incentivize the usage of Clay over ADA. So potentially you can still use ADA, but there might be a better deal if you use Clay tokens. So once again, this might be a situation where people are like, I might as well just buy some additional Clay tokens real quick and use Clay tokens instead. They were also saying that there's going to be some other utilities here, such as when you're actually building your pitch. So when this whole metaverse comes out and you can actually build on your pitch, you'll also be able to use some of these Clay tokens in order to buy some of these custom asset packs. The last major thing that they've brought up as far as utility so far is they were saying that they're actually going to have yield farming on their token. This is going to be another reason for people to actually hold their token. So right now you can see the pants, and then when you actually go on MintSwap, you can actually see all of the different yield farms that are currently out there. And if you notice, guys, on MintSwap, a lot of times you actually don't just get Mint tokens, but you also get different tokens while you're yield farming. So this could be a situation where it could be like CNFT, where all of a sudden you're farming with your Clay token as well as ADA. Now you're holding both of those tokens, and you might be getting a 40% APR, for example. example. 21% of that APR could be going towards Min, 2% of that APR could be going towards ADA, and then 13% of that APR could be going towards CNETA. So right now, there might not be a huge incentive to hold these clay tokens when these utilities aren't out yet, but now all of a sudden, once you can actually yield farm with them, people might be like, hey, I feel comfortable holding clay, I feel comfortable holding ADA, I don't think there's going to be a lot of impermanent loss, and now there's a major incentive or an additional incentive of actually holding these clay tokens. So pretty interesting stuff. They were also bringing up in their Discord that they might have some tiered raffles soon where maybe you can win this guitar, for example, but you need a certain amount of clay to actually enter that raffle. Maybe you need to be holding 10,000 clay tokens, whatever the case is. So really interesting stuff overall. I do personally think that this clay token is a long-term thing when it comes to some of their utilities. And in their Twitter space that they just had like a couple days ago, they were really stressing that the utility is a long-term thing. And I really do think that if their Clayverse is successful, that their clay token is going to be a major aspect or a major part of all the different transactions and just like the whole potentially play to earn aspect or whatever they end up doing with their metaverse. Now, to go into the next thing here, regardless of, the tokenomics and their current clay token, where do you actually buy this token? Well, guys, I just made a video on a guide on how to actually buy this token, but you're going to want to buy it on a decentralized exchange. Right now, MinSwap is the best deal because they actually have the most liquidity. That's where they pooled most of their liquidity. But you can also buy it on MuesliSwap, SundaySwap, and Wing Riders, which are the other decentralized exchanges out there. For whatever reason though, I'm guessing because there's just a lot more liquidity, MinSwap is the cheapest place to buy, and it's honestly giving you the most amount of money to sell as well. But like I said, I would compare the different decentralized exchanges, and at the same time, if you don't know how to do any of this stuff, I did just release a video on how this whole thing actually works, how to buy and sell these different tokens. The next thing that I wanted to bring up here, more than just buying it, and hopefully you'll be able to yield farm it. They haven't given an exact date, but I'm hoping it's sometime within the next couple weeks here because they don't want to do everything at once. They already did the airdrop, they're doing the baking, they did the liquidity, right? So hopefully in like 2 weeks or something like that, you can actually yield farm with it. But the other thing that I wanted to bring up here is that you can actually go to Taptools. And Taptools is a really great chart to look at these different DeFi tokens. And if you don't want to just use MinSwap to look at the current price of the token, you can actually go on Taptools and get a little bit more information. Now, the last thing that I wanted to bring up here is what do I personally feel about this clay token as far as an overall investment. And once again, guys, this is not investment advice. And the other thing that I have to bring up here is if you're used to NFTs, realize that this isn't like an NFT. The prices on this are very crazy. They move up and down a lot, and you have to be very careful because it's easy to get burned in this space when it comes to Cardano DeFi if you're not doing the right things and you're not getting in at the right prices. So I just want to put that warning out there. But overall, if you can't tell throughout this video, I am bullish on this token, and I have bought a decent amount as a result. The reason I'm bullish on this token, guys, is because if you're part of the Block Investment Group, you'll know that we did a whole entire breakdown of the circulating market cap of this specific token. And if you look at this Excel spreadsheet right now, you'll see kind of the breakdown of how they did their token release as well as the circulating supply. A lot of times, guys, people will simply take the ADA price, like 0.028, and they'll times that by 2.5 billion and they'll get the fully diluted market cap. That isn't a good way of doing things because the majority of the tokens aren't even in circulation, right? So you're not really getting an accurate market cap. What's interesting with Clay Nation's token, Clay token, is that roughly 10% or 250,000 of that 2.5 billion tokens are already in circulation. You had 2% go on this first DEX, you had about 0.66% go on DEX 2, you had 0.33% go on DEX 3, and then you had a roughly about 7% go to people with pitches, as well as everyone that was baking their clays, which ended up being a total of 250,000 tokens circulating. And if you look here, guys, you can actually see the circulating market cap as well as the fully diluted market cap, which is if you times by the total supply based on the current price of the token. Right now, the token is about 0.028, which if you multiplied by this 250 million total price right now, total circulating supply, or I mean 250,000, hold up. If you times this by 250,000 times that 0.02, no, I was right, this is why I do multiple takes, guys. But if you times, I was right at first, but if you times this 250 million by the current price of the token right now, which is 0.0282, you would get around a 7 million circulating market cap. And right now, if you look at these different multiples, which is when the token first came out, you'll see that this 7 million total circulating market cap is in between this 0.0222 and this 0.006, which 0.006 would actually be a 10x multiple if you got in right away. However, you can see down here the different circulating market caps in ADA for this token at these different prices. The interesting thing that I want to pull up here, guys, is that Clay Nation's Clay token currently has a circulating market cap of about 7 million ADA, and this is without them really announcing the utility, without you needing to deep dive it. This is without them going on all of these different influence marketing campaigns where they're talking with Champ and Snoop and Charles. This is without them bringing up a lot of the different things, the yield farming. This is without a lot of people really knowing or really paying attention to this token yet. We're at a 7 million ADA market cap. And what's really, really interesting about this, guys, is Ape Society's Society token, which is the closest comparison, in their first 1 to 2 weeks, they actually went to a 9 million circulating ADA market cap, which is insane because Clay Nation, which has a 3.5x times higher floor market cap when you add up all of Clay Nation's products versus Ape Society, they're currently sitting at a 7 million ADA market cap. So right now, within the first 1 week, Clay token is literally less than what Ape Society's token is worth. Now, Ape Society's token has gone down a lot over the past month or two, but it's still sitting at between a 5 and 6 million ADA circulating market cap. So it's really interesting that this Clay token that I believe has more followers, more holders, all these different things, is barely worth more than what Society is right now. And that's after months of people selling their token. And that's with their main utility being these different frames that they're creating that's going to be more Society tokens. So it's really interesting stuff. Personally, I don't want to make any specific price predictions of where this is going to go because, to be honest with you guys, I have no idea where this is going to go. But the main point that I want to bring up here is if you look at Clay Nation as a long-term investment, do you think that this Clay token could potentially be worth more in the future? And that's why I personally had invested in this token. I personally think that Clay, if someone on Cardano is going, as far as the CNFT project, is going to make a token that is successful in the long run, then personally, I have a lot more confidence on Clay Nation. And right now, with a 7 million circulating ADA market cap and even a 60 million fully diluted market cap, if you want to go the fully diluted market cap route, I personally do think that's low when compared to how big Clay Nation is as a project. And my personal bet and why I personally did buy some Clay Nation tokens myself and had recommended people in the block investment group to buy the Clay Nation tokens is that Cardano DeFi has yet to explode. There's still a very little volume on this blockchain when compared to all other blockchains. We're not even in the top 25 blockchains when it comes to TVL or total value locked in our blockchain. In my personal opinion, I'm bullish on Cardano. I'm bullish on these different hard forks that's going to bring more projects and more applications to Cardano. I think that's going to have an impact on the overall DeFi boom in Cardano. And if this DeFi boom happens, and if Cardano goes up a lot in price, and if CNFTs really go on a big run, then if I wanted to get into some sort of token, and that has high potential, but is very risky right now, guys, right? Then Clay token would probably be the big bet that I would make in that situation. So I personally had bought, I think I'm sitting at around like 3 million tokens right now. I had personally bought a lot of these tokens under this 0.0287. I actually had gotten a lot when when they first had added the token, but I'm personally going to be holding these tokens at least for the next couple weeks as I see these different utilities come out. I don't know how many of these tokens I want to hold in the long term, but it's just insane to me to think that if Clay Nation can deliver over the long term and they're able to build a successful metaverse and Cardano and CNFTs and Cardano DeFi go up during that same time, or if crypto just goes on a bull run again at the same time, or if the overall macro economy gets better at the same time, then you're buying into this project at only a 7 million ADA circulating market cap and a 60 million ADA fully diluted market cap. And for me, I think that's overall a pretty good bet. Now I could go right now and I could buy, some of if I'm very bullish on Clay Nation, for example, I could go out and I could buy some of these clays for 3,000 ADA and potentially that's a good investment, or 2,700 ADA. I do like Clay Nation as a project and maybe you just want to accumulate these tokens over time. But what you'll realize, guys, is the amount of tokens you're getting is pretty small. I paid 3,000 ADA for 3 good Charlottes, and I'm only getting 8,000 tokens from this, and I'm only going to be getting 6,000 to 7,000 tokens a year. And right now, if I wanted to buy 7,000 tokens, it would only cost me 200 ADA. So for the same price I've got to spend at this price right now for good Charlottes, 2,500 ADA, I can get the same amount of tokens for only 200 ADA. Right? So it's an interesting play. That's pretty much everything that you guys need to know about this token. I want to finish off by saying that this is a riskier thing to get into. I know a lot of people that watch my videos, you guys are very focused on CNFTs, so you don't have as much confidence or knowledge about the token side of things. So I want to remind everyone once again that if you don't have a lot of knowledge in this, do your research, do your homework, understand how these tokens work, because there is a lot of volatility in these tokens, and if you're buying at the wrong price, you will get burned. But overall, I do think that this is a decent long-term investment if you're someone that's bullish on Clay Nation, if you're bullish on Cardano, if you're bullish on Cardano DeFi, and you just think that they're going to be able to execute in the long term. Because the circulating market cap, once again, is only 7 million ADA compared to a lot of these different projects on different blockchains, especially even right now, if you just wanted to compare Clay to Pavia, Pavia currently has a 20 to 21 million ADA circulating market cap. So this market cap is about 3 times smaller than Pavia, just to give you guys another comparison, another perspective, rather than just society tokens. But yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. I'm obviously I really don't want this to sound like a whole entire shill, but I do believe in this project. And if you've been in the Block Investment Group and you own different jelly cubes, you know that I've been talking about Clay Nation and their token for literally the past 2 weeks now. And I haven't been selling any of it. I believe in this team and I'm excited to see what they do. But yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one, and I hope this breakdown helped.